Welcome to my channel, FS Tech Lab. In today's video we will set up an additional domain controller on Windows Server 2019. Before we begin the setup, decide the static IP address to be assigned to the server. The IP subnet must be same as of the primary domain controller. Decide the host name of the server. Keep handy domain admin ID credentials. Install Windows Server 2019 Standard or Data Center Edition as per your requirement. Power on the server. Before we begin the additional domain controller setup, let's check the primary domain controller. Press Ctrl-Alt-Delete and log into the server. Open the Server Manager. Open the Active Directory Users and Computer Console. Here you can see the domain name that we have already set up on primary domain controller. Only one domain controller name appears in Domain Controllers OU. Let's go to our new additional domain controller. Click on Local Server in Server Manager console. Change the IP address. Check the IP address on primary domain controller. Go back to additional domain controller and set the IP address as decided earlier. Here the primary DNS will be the IP address of the primary domain controller. The secondary DNS will be same as the IP address of the additional domain controller. Click OK. Click Close. Click Refresh on the Server Manager and verify if the assigned IP appears on the page. Let's check if we can reach the primary domain controller after assigning the IP address. Ping the domain name. Ping results confirm that we are able to reach the domain controller. Let's check if NS lookup gets resolved from this server. So the ping and NS lookup are getting resolved from this server. Click on the computer name. Click Change. Type in the hostname decided earlier. Click OK. Click OK again. Click Close and select Restart Now. Click Add Roles and Features in Server Manager. Click Next until you get Destination Server page. On Destination Server page, verify that additional domain controller name is selected and click Next. Check the box before Active Directory Domain Services and click Add Features on the prompt. Now check the box before DNS Server and click Add Features on the prompt. Click Next. Click Next on Features page as well. Click Next on ADDS and DNS Server page. Click Install on the confirmation page to start the role installation. After installation is completed, click Promote this server to a domain controller. The AD configuration wizard will appear. As this is the second domain controller, keep the selection to add a domain controller to an existing domain and type the domain name. Click on Change Next to supply the credentials. We will go back to Primary Domain Controller and check the username. Here we can see that the domain name, that is FS Tech Lab, comes first and the username, that is administrator, comes after /. We will enter the credentials in same format. Click OK. Make sure the credentials, that username format, appears below Supply Credentials. Click Next. In the site name drop-down, select the site name in which you want to deploy the server. As we have only one site, that default first site name, we will select it. Type in the DSRM password. DSRM password can be same or different for each domain controller. Click Next. Click Next. On Additional Options page, you can select the domain from which you want to replicate from. The drop-down will list any domain controller and other domain controllers. We have only one domain controller till now, that is Primary Domain Controller. We will keep the selection to any domain controller. Click Next. The paths for Active Directory database, log files and sysvol folder will be listed. In production, you change path for each folder. Click Next. The wizard will list the options selected in the previous pages. Check the option thoroughly and click Next. The wizard will verify the prerequisites before setting up the Active Directory domain server. Once all prerequisites checks are completed, the wizard will show the confirmation page. Click Install. The wizard will start the AD configuration. After AD configuration is completed, the server will be restarted. Click Close to reboot the server. Press Ctrl-Alt-Delete to log into the screen. The server is now promoted to a domain controller, and you can see that domain name with username is displayed. Type in the password and press Enter. Click on Local Server in Server Manager. Here we can see the host name of the server, and the server is added to the domain. Let's check if there are any changes in the IP address or DNS. The IP address have no changes. In the Start menu, Active Directory related consoles will be added. Now let's verify the folders that are created while setting up the Active Directory. The folders are located in C Drive Windows folder. The Active Directory database is located in NTDS folder. Another folder, that is sysvol folder, is created. It contains folders like policies and scripts. These folders store key Active Directory data required for group policy, log-on log-off scripts, and startup shutdown scripts. The users and computers in Active Directory Domain Controller are managed through Active Directory Users and Computers console. The console will display the same details as in the primary domain controller. We are now connected to the secondary domain controller. Let's switch to our primary domain controller to verify the same. Let's create a new OU first. Type in the OU name and click OK. Let's create a new user. Type in the user first name, last name, and logon name. Click Next. Type the password for the user in Password and Confirm Password box. Uncheck the box User must change password at next logon and click Next and Finish. The user is now created in the Active Directory. Let's go back to our additional domain controller and check the user. Refresh the console to verify the changes. You can now see the OU we created in primary domain controller has appeared in the list. And the user is also displayed. Go to domain controllers OU and you will find two servers listed, that is primary and additional domain controllers. Go back to the primary domain controller. We need to add the details of secondary domain controller in primary domain controller. Add the IP address of additional domain controller in alternate DNS server IP. The setup is now completed on the additional domain controller. That's it for today. Let's meet in next video. Thank you for watching. Do like, subscribe and press the bell icon for latest videos.